Hoping for answers, investigators have started to look for answers from the black box from Sunday's crash. Coming up, the latest on the investigation.
Academy remember one of their own who died along with his parents in Sunday's fatal plane crash. That story straight ahead.
Crafty criminals. ZNS explores the new ways guns are getting into the Bahamas. The Bahamas Tonight. The National Report starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
A detailed analysis of what took place during that ill-fated flight Sunday, which killed Dr. Myles Munroe and 8 others, has begun in the United States. Good evening, everyone. I'm Keishla Adderley.
And I'm Chris Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us. Investigations into Sunday's crash are progressing. That flight data recorder, also known as the black box, has been found 2 days ago and has now been sent to the U.S. for extraction.
Now, the process is being carried out by several agencies working as a team. Meantime, family members are finalizing plans for funeral arrangements for the top leadership of Bahamas Faith Ministries. Clint Watson joins us live in studio tonight with the latest. Clint, what can you tell us?
Keishla, Chris, the analysis of the cockpit voice recorder of the Learjet that crashed in Grand Bahama on Sunday began today in Washington, D.C. They'll be looking to identify what happened in the fatal incident, which claimed 9 lives. The Department of Civil Aviation reported that the analysis of data extracted from the cockpit voice recorder and digital electronic engine monitors from the downed U.S. registered Learjet 35 makes up the bulk of that investigation. The analysis will be conducted at the National Transportation Safety Board headquarters in the United States Capitol by personnel from the Bahamas Department of Civil Aviation, Aircraft Accident Investigation and Prevention Unit, Bombardier Learjet, the aircraft manufacturers, the Federal Aviation Administration, and the National Transportation Safety Board. It is not yet known how long the analysis will take to be completed. However, Civil Aviation Department officials will provide further details on the crash as soon as they become available. Now, regarding funeral plans for Dr. Myles Munroe, his wife Ruth Ann, and Pastor Richard Pinder, we can tell you families have been meeting all week to finalize plans, and as promised by Pastor Dave Burrows, those details are expected to be announced tomorrow at a press conference at Bahamas Faith Ministries at noon. But we can tell you organizers are being flooded with calls from celebrities to gospel recording artists, leaders of nations, and religious leaders, all planning to attend the funeral and memorial of Dr. Munroe. It is being speculated that we could see the National Stadium used for one of those events. Of course, ZNS News will bring that press conference to you. We'll keep you updated on every plan and development as the story unfolds. Back to you.
Thanks a lot, Clint. Well, he was not as visible, but Dr. Richard Pinder was a loyal supporter of Dr. Myles Munroe, quietly in the background, making sure that the groundwork was laid for Bahamas Faith Ministries' many pursuits. Dr. Pinder met Dr. Munroe while the two were students at Oral Roberts University before working together to build a church which began in a laundry room. Tonight, one of the co-founders of the church, Reverend Francis, told us about Pinder's quiet strength and where the church is headed.
We were shocked, but not unprepared.
And that, says founding co-pastor Henry Francis, is owing to the philosophy Bahamas Faith Ministries was built on. Pastor Francis recalls Pastor Pinder was a big part of that as the right-hand man to Dr. Myles Munroe.
Richard Pinder was someone who was down to earth, could be funny, could be stern, but he was a person who kept the ministry going. He was a person who was prepared to adapt to what was needed to make sure that the work was done.
Pastor Francis, considering the additional role Pastor Pinder's widow Sheena will now have to play, told us about his conversation with her within hours of the fatal crash.
Said, well, I'm here. And you could hear the numbness in her voice, but she was still strong. Then I spoke to her earlier today, and she was more vibrant. Still in the grief mode, but she was strong, sounded strong, and in control of everything. And the task that she has now is to not only minister to her own 2 children, but also to Dr. Monroe's 2 children. And knowing Pastor Sheena, she sounds up to the job.
But despite their grief, there is clear consensus on the underlying message, perhaps expressed in a prophecy from Dr. Monroe and played out in the morning service of 2 Sundays ago.
There's going to be a number of deaths this year, and you may be surprised at who they are. Little did we know that he'd be included. But the steps that he took was, we can now see they were all in preparation for such a time as this. November, we had a special celebration to honor Pastor Dave and the work he did in passing it on to Pastor LeVard. That was dynamic. It was powerful. And then, 8 days later, Pastor Dave is now taking over the position of having to be the senior man in the ministry.
But Pastor Francis says the church can only go up from here. Dr. Monroe wouldn't have had it any other way.
It was in the hotel, the old Balmoral Hotel, that we found that our desire to have international conferences and have people from outside of the Bahamas become a part of our services was realized.
The 5-year-old boy who died along with his parents and 6 others in Sunday's tragic plane crash was a K-5 student at Kingsway Academy, where today he was remembered fondly by students and staff. Charisma Robinson was there for the emotional memorial service for Johannan Parks, affectionately called Jojo.
The aunt and other family members of Kingsway Academy student Johannan Parks sat somberly in the memorial service as Johannan's classmates paid tribute to him in song, poetry, and dance.
We know you are in heaven playing with your favorite Ninja Turtles. We will never stop loving you, Johannan, and we know that when we get to heaven, we will see you there. Goodbye, our friend, until we meet again.
5-year-old Johannan, affectionately called Jojo, died along with his parents LeVard and Raydell Parks and 6 others in Sunday's tragic plane crash in Grand Bahama. Still grappling with Jojo's tragic death, Kingsway Academy Vice Principal Chandra Min says they felt it was important to hold a personal memorial service to remember him. She says the last time they saw Jojo was at the school's walkathon on Friday.
Right now we're experiencing mixed emotions, I would say. Happiness, sadness.
Little Johannan sat at this seat in his K-5 class. It's here he shared his love for Ninja Turtles and music.
Even though Johannan was only 5 years old, he has emptied himself. I go back to the words of Dr. Miles Monroe. He has emptied himself, and he was 60. So I feel personally that Johannan at age 5, he has emptied himself. Otherwise, God would not have taken him. And he has left a testimony here at Kingsway Academy.
A testimony Jojo's K4 teacher says will last. She shared with us her fondest memories.
When he accepted Jesus as his Savior, because that picture will be forever stamped in my mind, just seeing him sitting there with his eyes closed with so much sincerity praying. And then he said, I asked Jesus to be my Savior, and I will forever remember that.
Now Thursday's memorial service wrapped up with a colorful message, one that brought everyone, including Jojo's family, to tears. Scores of balloons were released by students, signifying their classmate had made his way into a better place. Charisma Robinson, ZNS Network News.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Shell Ultra Low Sulfur Diesel.